Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Oh boy. Nothing like starting oh geez, 12 minutes late. Ugh. Ooh. Well, that's unfortunate. But you know what? Sometimes it's just one of those days where my software all needs updating all at once. So there we go. Okay, pardon me while I try to get everything started. Let's go. There it is. Alright, so I'm gonna rush to try to get things working. And like always, slightly unprepared. Very unprepared. But that's okay. Let's see. I gotta get this loaded. Uh-huh. What's the day? Number 36? Yes, it is. Alright. Sorry for the uninteresting commentary as I get things loaded up and going. Now, this is April, and as I understand, the... yeah, I'm a little late. Oh, my face! Oh, shoot. I gotta get that up. Where is it? Where is it? So it's nearing the end of the school year. Within a month, people will start taking finals, which means that during this time, I believe that everyone who is in school is probably preparing for finals, studying their last lessons that they'll need to have on there, as well as maybe freaking out and wondering, oh my goodness, how did I get this far? Okay, face on. Oh, working? Hello? There it is. Okay. Face on, board loaded, no flickering, and music on. Everything's on time. Oh, that's nice. That's lovely. Okay. So, today is going to be about, I don't know, as usual. But I'm hoping that I could help. Well, I should really work on advertising, really. But while actually, let me do that now. While I do that, let me say to anyone who is in school at the moment to say, hey, if you're struggling with finals, you're gonna be okay. Now is probably the time in the school year where you're like, oh my goodness, probably should have studied a bit more. But you still have time. You still have a whole month maybe, right? Normally finals are around what, like mid-May to mid-June. So you're not done yet. You're not out. All right, you're in the final innings though. So to anyone in school, feel free to reach out. And again, it doesn't just have to be me, right? And I think, you know what? Let's go with that as today's topic. On prepping for finals. Yeah. That's nice and topical, right? It's around that time. And while I do that, please, yeah, I know I'm 15 minutes, oh geez, like 12 minutes late, right? And it's getting later by the moment. So I will post my spiel. Let's see. Otherwise, today's lesson on prepping for finals. Okay. Let's do it like this. Boom. Yeah. Look at that text scroll. That's a nice touch. Alright. So, while I try to advertise, please, if anyone wants to talk about anything, yeah, just say so in chat. And if anyone can't say anything in chat, I probably should mention this more often. I think the way that I set it up, just as a bit of trivia, is that for chatters for this channel need to have an email and a phone verification. And the reason why is because I'm lazy and I don't want to moderate. And so because I don't want to moderate, you know, a very easy way to kind of have that is so that if anyone, you know, doesn't want to do a phone verification, because that's really the kicker, the phone part, right? Emails, anyone can make a burner email. That's fine. But for phone verification, then if you get that banned, then you get your phone banned, and then you can't really like chat anywhere. I think that's how it works. But the point is that in order to kind of leave moderation not an issue, you know, and don't have to worry about keywords or whatever, just have those things verified, and then you can chat to your heart's content. So there we go. Again, I know that doesn't have to do with the subject at hand. I'm just kind of talking to talk while I try to get things ready. Test. But yeah, I've been having a bit of technical issues, and so I'm trying to not have that. Oh, okay, well, once again, technical issues. Okay, so while that gets sorted out in the background, let's talk about the subject at hand, on prepping for finals. So how does one prep for finals? Well, first you have to have the mindset to prep in the first place. So sometimes someone might think that, oh yeah, nah, this is easy, I got it, I don't need a prep. And when someone's thinking like it's going to be super easy, then that's kind of where the first problem is. In that, they don't even bother considering what are their options. And it may be, right? It may be easy. Maybe you have like 5 different classes, and you think, okay, yeah, no, this one I totally got the material for. Maybe, probably, but just to be safe, right? That's not how you prep for finals. What you would first do is, if you're in college, you would go to office hours. And just talk to your professor, right? If they're chill, you could just talk to them about like the class, with maybe not exactly like ask them, hey, what's going to be on the final? Can you tell me? But more like, you know, is this, you would tell them, right? Show what you know. No. Terrible penmanship, but okay. You would show what you know, in that rather than asking the professor to explain things to you, because at that point, if you weren't able to listen in on the lectures, and you weren't able to really understand or grasp the materials as they just kind of regurgitate to you, and you're just like, then then it's probably not going to work if you go to their office and just have them do the same process. Instead, what you'll want to do is to kind of show your expertise on what you know on the material. And the way you do that is just to explain to the professor, saying, hey, I think this is the concept, so can I try to explain it to you to see if I got it right? And when you go through that process of actually trying to teach the teacher, then that's when they can kind of correct you, and they say, well, no, it's not quite like this, or yes, it is like this, but do you know this guy's name? Because that's going to be on the final. You know, small little things like that. So even when you think something's easy and you got it, you know, taking the time to really explain it to someone who really knows the material intimately, i.e. your professor or teacher, then that kind of lets you see the small little cracks and flaws that you might have, and really this is the kind of stuff that separates the B students into A students. So if you're kind of looking for those, you know, those big deals, scholarships, well, no wait, you're already in college at this point. I guess it'd be like GPA numbers that you can put on a resume. if you want to get from, really good to like great, then this is something that you could do, right? Even if it's for the easy classes. So, don't be overly confident, just try, right? And if you've done this throughout the year, that's great. Hey, that's even better. If you've done this from the very beginning and you were in communication with your professor or with the material, then hey, great. You're already there. Congratulations, you won. But yeah, if you want to just get that little extra step, if you're looking for a little bit more, this is a great idea. Now, this is again for college, right? For high school, then when it comes to finals, and again, if it's something that you think is easy, right? You think you got it, or you think you know it for sure. Again, I would try to advocate talking to the teachers directly, if possible. Although, maybe they're not as chill because they're high school teachers and not college professors. And again, that's not to say anything negative about high school teachers, right? I've known plenty of cool, chill high school teachers, and that was a great luxury to me. It's just that the dynamic is different in that with professors in college, it's more like a lecturing format where they kind of, talk at you, and then you kind of just take notes and that's it. And then maybe if it's in a smaller class, like if it's a large class, they talk at you, right? And if it's a smaller class, then it's kind of more like a discourse. We can kind of talk back to them, too. But in high school, it's less voluntary. College is very voluntary. People want to be there. They apply for there. They take out loans to be there. High school, it's more like they have to be there. It's like a teenager daycare sometimes. To that end, what that means is that the dynamic is a little different. Where in that, yes, the teacher will still, be open, I assume, and talking to the students, but not every student will be receptive. And so, again, that can kind of change how things might work in your availability, because if they're not going to be receptive or they're going to be disruptive, your peers at this level, then it might be harder to kind of get that one-on-one time with the teacher. However, the beauty of high school is that there tends to be like more than one teacher covering a certain subject, right? Like usually with college, maybe there's like one or two professors on the same subject. With high school, there's like, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 math teachers. Again, I'm guessing, right? It's been a while. But the point is that you can kind of reach out around and, talk to different people. You have a larger pool of people. You don't have to kind of go for the one-on-one like you might have to do in college. You can kind of go for the kind of group study because you have a lot more peers. You have a lot more teachers to work with, and have that kind of dynamic to talk to for about the material. And again, I would still recommend the same process of just try to talk about what it is. Like, show what you know. That's gonna copy weird, but let's give it a shot. Oh boy. Can I erase a bit more? Yeah. And so to that end, if you're able to get some time either in a group, maybe it's not just directly the teacher that you're talking to, but it's also, trying to help your fellow students, right? So what you could do is maybe get a group together of like, I don't know, the smart kids, and just try to talk to them about the material. But kind of in a way is like, well, hey, do I understand this right? And then you try to explain it, and then they'll be like yes or no, or hopefully they'll be polite about it. Not like Mean Girls. There we go. But if you show what you know to your peers, because I'm pretty sure in everyone's class, everyone knows who the smart kid is. Then yeah, if you're able to work with them on that, and then they're able to help you with that, that's fantastic. Good for you. And once again, the idea is not to just kind of assume that you know the material. Again, the first hurdle to being able to prepare for finals is just thinking everything's easy and you're going to pass. And then that prevents you from doing a whole lot of processes and things and taking the steps forward to actual success, lasting success, right? Because, you know, beyond high school, beyond college, there are career pathways. And in those, you might have to ask for help. You might have to say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Or, well, maybe not exactly like that. But maybe something more like, I could use some guidance on this matter. If you have a moment, please let me know when your soonest availability. Or whatever fancy business speak, right? So, you know, basically still thinking, understanding that there is more you can learn, I guess is the way to put it. So once you have opened your mind to learning more, and you take the steps to actually talk to people about what you know, then there's a part of where you're either good or you're not good. Actually, I should put it sideways. You know what? Let's space this out a bit, actually. Sorry, I'm winging this. It's not like one of those cool YouTube guys that have like the pre-prepared lesson plan or you know, infographics. This is all live. So, once you start telling people what you know, then there's basically two ways to go about it. Either you do know it and you're explaining it well and they say, hey, great job. Alright, well then you can move on to the next subject and you just kind of go from there, right? And then there's the one where you sound like an idiot and then you're trying to explain something and you don't know how and you're stumbling and they kind of give you a funny look. So let's go over both possible. Now again, of course there's in-betweens, right? It's not one or the other. In fact, a lot of what you'll experience is kind of in the middle. If you're trying to actually talk to someone who knows a material really well, and you try to explain it, you're probably going to get like a lot of it right and then some of it wrong, or you're going to get like a lot of it wrong but also some parts of it right? You're probably going to remember like the weird stuff. That's fine, right? But let's just go to the extremes to kind of help you through this. And again, I want to go over this so that way if someone is even thinking about doing this and they're too shy because they're worried about what will happen if things go wrong, or you know, they don't care about what happens if things go right, you know, it's just kind of just a mental walkthrough exercise, something that you can kind of go through through the scenario. Although I'm sure you could probably do it yourself, but hey, I got time to kill, so let's do it. Oof. Or maybe not that much. Oh my. Okay. So, assuming that things go well, and you explain the material very well, and they think, wow, you know your stuff. That is fantastic. Congratulations, you won. First of all, question it, right? Because if it's to the professor, right, the one who's going to give you your final, oh, you're clean, you're done. Walk away, you're a golden student. If it's to your teacher and they say, yep, you got it, congratulations, you're going to do great on your final, looking forward to it, then hey, awesome. But if it's to your peers, right, if it's to a friend, if it's to someone that you think is smart in the class, first wonder, wait a minute, is this the right thing? Am I focusing on the right thing? Or did I just kind of help this person and they didn't know the material, and then I'm actually the smartest person in the class? So who knows, right? So keep your mind open to the possibilities. Not to say that, you know, a win's not a win, but these are a step that you can take where to say that once you've already explained it, to decide, is there someone better that you can, well, I shouldn't say better. Is there someone more knowledgeable on the subject that you could also talk to about this, right? How do I put this? Second opinions. And so this is a trap that someone can fall into where they think, all right, within their group of friends, they explain it to everyone and they got it, right? But then they have no one to kind of challenge them or really ask them questions. They're learning more in depth about that one material that they're teaching, sure. But could it be that maybe that's not the only thing that's on the final, right? Could it be that maybe you're talking about things from chapters 1 through 3, and then you know it very well, but then no one's questioning you on what's happening on chapters 4 through 5 for the class, and then that's where no one's really talking about it, and then you're focusing on maybe the wrong things, because maybe this is your weak point for whatever class you're in. So always get a second opinion on this. It's not like a kind of a one and done process. And even if you do talk to the professors, right? Part of the retention process for which you can really remember the material is also to help other students and talk to them about it, right? Help them understand in a more common lingo, whatever colloquialisms that you may use. Speak like their peer, not like a professor. And that kind of does a few things. One, it can help you, again, reinforce the material, but not just, you know, well, I guess that if you do it wrong, I shouldn't say that. If you focus only on one part of the lesson and you keep drilling it into everyone that you talk to, that's probably not good, right? Cover the whole breadth of the class and the subjects that you covered, so make sure that everything is kind of working and that you covered all the material. But also what that does is that helps them succeed too. And that's a very nice thing, and I recommend it. So a second opinion isn't just necessarily for your benefit, but it's also for the benefit of your classmates as a whole, which is generally cool, and again, I recommend it. Although, if someone is in a weighted grade class, then they might have other ideas. Yeah. Don't do bad things. Alright. So for the other part is, what if you explain it to someone and you're completely off? You're way off. They're looking at you as if you just spoke a foreign language, and you have no idea what you're talking about, right? and you're trying to explain, well, yeah, isn't this what we learned in this class? And then you're just kind of rambling on and talking about nonsense, and it's not working out. Well, this is the part where, you know, you may be inclined to panic and freak out, but please don't, right? This is April. You still got like a month, maybe a month and a half or something, to kind of be able to fix where you're at. Now, it is unlikely within a month's time to really condense a lot of material into a way that's really going to stick into your head. So at this point, we're just trying to get from, you know, if you're doing great, right? What you're doing is going from a B to an A. Cool, right? But what's also cool is if you can somehow go from like an F to a C minus. If you can swing that, right? Then I think you're going to be fine. However, although, you know what? Now that I think about it, it depends on the class, right? So just to run off some ideas. If someone has not been doing well in a class for the entirety of the semester, and maybe they think that the final might save them, but it doesn't, and they're kind of doomed to have an F, well, you're probably going to have to take it again. So might as well keep learning, right? It's not necessarily recommended to slack off, but rather if you know you're in this boat and the grade's already priced in, and even the final won't save you, that is a very rough spot, and I'm very sorry to hear that. But it's going to be alright. It's going to be okay. These things, they happen. Bunch of people, different subjects all the time, right? Some people, they get Fs in the higher echelons, and some people, they get Fs in the easier stuff. Sometimes both, alright? So don't freak out. I know it might seem harsh to get a kind of bad mark on your grade, but again, you're probably going to have to take it again, unless it's kind of a, I guess, voluntary class. But yeah, if you have to take it again, then you could still use this time to kind of learn. Yeah, like if you know what's coming down the pipe and you have to take this class again, like next semester or next year, I mean, just take all the notes that you can. Like, if you know the stuff, right? If you could even just have an idea of what the final's gonna like, don't like skip the final, you know? Even if you're gonna fail, like try to do it less from like a, all right, I'm gonna pass this and this is a desperate moment. Try to do it from like a position where you're previewing your future. We're gonna say, okay, well, like a third of these questions are from chapters 1 through 3. The second half is like chapters 4 through 6, and then like only a tiny sliver is on like chapters 7 through 10. Right? Alright, so if you're in class and you're failing your final for sure, then what you could do is you could kind of look at this thing, and rather than, you know, try to struggle to pass it, you could analyze it and plan for the next time you take it and say, okay, well, if so many questions are based on these sections, then if I just study on this, then I'm going to pass the final next time. And in fact, if I study on these subjects too, then that's probably all I need for the next semester. Right? I think that's a smart idea. And again, this is not necessarily giving up. It's more like when you know that you're screwed, to make the most of it for next time. Yeah. So that's a nice little strategy. Just really analyze the finals worksheet and see what you can get out of it and plan for next time. Now, if you think you have hope though, right? If you've kind of been teeter-tottering, if you're on the edge and it could kind of swing either way, and it's kind of like wibble-wobbling on which way you can go, right? You can either get an F or a C minus. First of all, good for you for knowing where you're at. Because sometimes, again, someone who might be on the lower grade spectrum, they might not have the foresight or wherewithal to even try to ask around and figure out how much exactly do they know, or they might hesitate to kind of let people know how little they do know, and that's a very unfortunate situation to be in. It's less about the school at that point. It's more about your ability to feel confident in yourself and maybe what you've done so far. But if you know that you are on the lower end, if you know that you're on the edge, again, don't give up. There's hope, all right? And one of the things that you can do as a strategy is not necessarily do the failing strategy where you just kind of analyze the final thing. But rather, what are some things that can be done? Give me a moment. Cramming, not quite works. I think at this point, if you're on this end of the gradient scale, right, then doing the same thing that you've been doing all year probably is not going to work. I know that seems very simplistic and kind of obvious, I mean, yeah, if you're like, is this how you draw a controller? Yeah, if you're like procrastinating and just like playing games, yeah, doing the same thing when you're super stressed out and the finals are coming up, again, that's not going to change anything. That's not going to help. That's not going to alleviate the problem. And that's, I think, more the obvious advice. But some of the less obvious advice is actually looking at the material that you have as it is probably not going to help either. Now, I know that seems kind of weird to say, but if you think about it, if you've been going to this class and you have a textbook and all you've been doing is looking at the textbook and you don't know what to make of it, it's all like Greek to you, it's just like symbols and numbers and you don't know what's going on, then doing the same practice of just looking at the textbook only, even though that might be all that you have, is probably not going to help. It's going to just cause the same confusion that you've been suffering through all year, right? Same thing if you have notes. If you have like meticulous notes and you've been taking them, but you're just literally copying down what the professor said and you're not really thinking deeply, reflecting upon the material, or you weren't really kind of getting it, you're just kind of writing things down, And even as you write things down, you look at it and you don't get it, and then you still think you're not doing well in the class, and you still don't get it, and you're looking at the notes again. That's like a vicious cycle. In fact, I would say that this is almost as bad as just goofing around and playing video games, because you're engaging in a practice where you're engaging with the material, but not in a way that actually sticks in your head, right? So that's not going to work either. And again, I usually say this because sometimes when someone is on this side of the grading scale, it's because they only have notes, but they don't have people. And so to that end, I would say try to look for people. Try something different. Try to approach the material in a fresh new way by straight up talking to someone. You know? Again, if you've been talking to someone that's been distracting you and they've been playing games the whole time, then probably not that particular person or people's. But if it's someone that you knows material, then and it's not, I would say a peer, like not your professor, right? Something that there's a disconnect maybe between the professor and the student and you. There's a disconnect maybe between the teacher and yourself, the student. But then if you look towards maybe one of your peers, someone who could kind of help understand and explain things to you in a way that you understand, that I think would be more helpful. Because there's all different kinds of learning styles as well, right? And although maybe teaching styles, they want to try to cover all of it, right? They want to maybe do like a visual learning style, where you can kind of see the material. They might want to do a text-based style of learning. Oh, by the way, visual is kind of more like graphics, right? So things like, what was it, like a pie chart? Yeah, sure. So there's that one, there's text. There's also hands-on, where you're actually like doing the material. And again, this might all seem like, okay, well, we kind of do all of this, but they're actually different learning styles. Specifically, for the visual learning style, right, this is something where someone might be able to easier understand things like, if I were to use math as an example, the visual style would be something like the unit circle, right? That's very visual. Whereas something with text would be something more like I guess like word problems. And then the writing style where you actually do it would be something like homework. And here you might need to take a moment of deep reflection, where, you know, if you feel like if you're in the class and you were looking at the things but you didn't quite understand it, then maybe you're not the visual style. If you're taking notes but you can't quite read it well, or you take notes and you kind of understand it but it's not really sticking, and then you realize that, hey, wait, you haven't been doing homework all year, then maybe your learning style all the time was the doing style. Wherein that if you were to have done the homework and even do more problems as homework, then that's how you could have found success in the class. But again, this requires a level of kind of reflection and thinking and realizing, okay, well, what style did I really remember the material the best, right? And then to whatever it is, then you find a peer or someone else who can kind of convert the material into the style that you understand. So, for example, if you know that the homework was really what helped you out, right? And the lectures do nothing for you, or the class really bores you to sleep, but doing the homework is like where you're really engaged. Then maybe finding a peer or someone that can help you actually come up with problems to do might be the solution. If you realize that you read the book the best, But then you don't really get the other stuff, like how you, how do I put it? No. Actually, a lot of the work is based on textbooks. So, yeah, usually a lot of people who are like focused on text and reading and kind of doing it at that pace, they find the most success, I think, as a lot of classes are structured now. I think the hardest part is those who are visually based, because a lot of math is kind of hard to visualize. It's just kind of these abstract numbers, and it gets even more abstract with other concepts. And it kind of, becomes more solid again once they do things like functions and they start graphing. Because then you actually have like visuals to work with. But then it kind of disappears again once you start having to, once they're so complex that you have to rely on more the calculator rather than pencil and paper. It's not going to be a problem. But the point is not necessarily to say that there is the greater problem. It's more like, okay, what style have you not engaged the most with at this point? And whichever style that you kind of engage with the least, that might be the one that you need the most. Again, assuming you're kind of down here with the grades. What are some other classes that are kind of important? I guess English, right? Yeah, English, there's homework where you have to write stuff. There's word problems where you have to read books. And then there's the visual, which is, I don't know. I don't know if that'd be like creative writing. I'm not quite sure. Right. But going back to this thing. Trying to work with your peer is someone who is in your class that maybe has to learn in a similar way that you do and maybe has had more success. However, right, if you're really on this low end, that could be anyone, right? They could be at the same level you are. It could be you and a group of like 3 friends who all learn in a very specific way, and you're all kind of struggling with this one class, right? But whatever, like one of them might know something that you don't for like lessons 1 through 3. You might know something that they don't for lessons 4 through 6 and so forth, right? You could kind of pool your knowledge together, so then you could each help each other understand the material in a way that kind of sticks in your head. Now, again, the reason why I say peers and not necessarily friends is because a peer is someone that you work with that's on an equal level, right? Your friend is someone you can goof off with. It's someone you could tell jokes to. It's someone you can be silly with. And then all of a sudden, like 4 hours go by and you realize, oh crap, we haven't done any work. So I would kind of aim more for the peers and not so much for the friends. Because friends are great, but it's hard to sometimes study with someone that is so on your vibe, so on your side, that they might have fun getting you distracted than trying to focus on the work. Now, as to how to meet these peers, there's different dynamics depending on the place you're at, right? So if it's in, I think, a high school, then it's a bit maybe trickier. But, again, I'm sure there's like a smart kid in the class. You could reach out to them. If it's in college, it might be late in the year, but I know there's probably groups, study groups, organizations, these other peoples working together might know the material. And, don't be afraid to be honest. Be your honest self, right? You can tell people, hey, I'm really struggling and I would like to join because I need help. Cool. If they're chill, then they'll let you in, right? If they're not chill, then you probably don't want to hang out with them anyways. So, yeah, just be honest with your where you're at. Be honest with yourself and be honest with others, because that is how you can find those who are willing and want to help you in the way that you need help with this kind of thing, from going from an F to a C minus. And the reason why I say C minus is because you don't really need to aim for the stars when you're like really struggling with the class. If you pass and you weren't passing before, but then near the end, near these final, like if this is the make or break it, and you can pull off that, hey, good for you, right? That's kind of an accomplishment to kind of go from like absolutely doomed to just like okay. So I think these are basically most of the tips I have for prepping for finals. I'm trying to think if there's other random things I could do. Like, not random, but more like, what are some other small tidbits of advice? A to B is just talking to people and trying to teach them. F to C is being honest with where you're at and try to seek help from peers who can teach you in the way that you have not been taught before. Oh, tutors. Me. Yeah. yeah, that'd be helpful. Yeah, so what I kind of do is this thing. Where not necessarily I can guarantee someone going from an F to C minus, but more like, if someone's being taught material in a way that they cannot understand, then I kind of wibble wobble and explore all the different ways in which I could figure out a system that works for the students, and then help them digest the material into a way that they can understand. And yeah. There's an analogy there, but I think it's very silly. So I won't go there. Too silly. Okay. So, I guess... Wow, I think I talked really fast. I think I talked a little too fast today. That's why the timing is way off. Because normally I would hit like an hour mark, but I think I just rambled a bit and jumped from subject to subject a bit too fast. Hey, you know what? That happens. So, I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of leave this here for a moment. And I still got time. Oh my goodness. Okay. Normally I try to do this before a stream, but now that it's a stream and I have a little bit of time, I'm gonna do a wee bit of troubleshooting. I still have the chat up, so if anyone wants to say anything or talk about any other strategies for preparing for finals, test taking, stuff like that. Not necessarily how to cheat. I never recommend cheating in any way, shape, or form, because as the old saying goes, you only cheat yourself. Oh, it worked. oh, great. Now at the end of my stream, my stuff works. Okay, cool. Well, it's fixed. All right. Well, that was a quick second. But yeah, so I don't recommend cheating for finals, although there are technically some strats, some kind of forbidden book of knowledge when it comes to how to cheat for a test. And I don't know. Maybe I could do like a what not to do, but then that kind of tells people what to do. So, well, here's the thing though. It's probably not even that original. Like when it comes to desperation for cheating on a final, I don't think that it's like anything like mind-breakingly new. And it's there's always little things that you could do, maybe, depending on how well you know the teacher, how well they monitor the class. Stuff like that, I guess I'll put it in a way. So it's more nuanced, it's more specialized, and it's just probably not worth it. You know what? Let me go into that for a little bit. Why is cheating bad? Why is cheating on a final bad? Sorry, give me a moment. Alright, so why is cheating on a final bad? The reason why cheating on a final is bad, I think, should be self-evident, but just as a just as an additional point on how not to prepare for a final. When you'll get in trouble. I think that's kind of the obvious one, right? I don't know what to degree that people would actually get in trouble. I don't know if they'll get, like, you know, tarred and feathered. So that's not good though. If you have a guardian, if you have a parent, they'll probably find out, and then you'll get in trouble with them, which is kind of where the real trouble is, right? It's not so much the school, it's more like what's at home. And then the other thing is that if you get in trouble in a college class, then that's really kind of really on your head. Like, no one cares. No one cares if you pass or fail, in the sense that if you fail, you can just try it again next year. It's not that big of a deal. Like, no one's really gonna hang over your head. It's like, oh my gosh, you has to repeat a semester. Tee hee hee. Like, nah, it happens. Don't worry about it. But if you cheat and you get caught and you get in trouble, that's a different story. Then you can kind of get in trouble. You can kind of, I don't know if you can get kicked out, but I imagine you can. Again, it depends on the school and the environment, but trouble's bad, and don't go looking for it unless you want it. Another reason, it teaches poor coping skills. So there's gonna be other times in your life where you're gonna be in deep trouble. And so when you're in this deep doo-doo, then what's going to happen is that instead of being able to kind of take it on the chin and accept responsibility, apologize for it, seek to make amends, and then move forward with a lesson learned, instead you might be more inclined to do something like lie, or you might want to do something like file false reports, or basically doing things that will only make the situation worse, passing off the buck to someone else. Things that will, you know, at that point not just get you in trouble with maybe a parent, guardian, or a school district, but at this point, you know, you're literally biting the hand that feeds you. You're upsetting your employer, getting yourself blacklisted, you know, messing up your resume because now you're gonna have a work gap. So, you know, not to say that, you know, if you do this bad thing once, then your life is ruined and you're gonna do all these bad things later. No, that's not the case. All right, if you mess up once, and that's, you know, a mess up, and if you learn from it, you learn from it. Cool. But what I'm saying is that, you know, if you allow yourself to be in the mindset to continuously cheat on finals, then that will be allow yourself to be in the mindset to say, well, maybe it's okay to lie in the workplace. Maybe it's okay to blame my coworker for this issue. Maybe it's okay to falsify this accounting report. And then all of a sudden you're in trouble for white collar crime. I shouldn't say all of a sudden. There's steps to it, but you know, don't. It's bad. It never ends good. What's another reason why not to cheat on a final? Here's my favorite reason, right? It is hard. Alright, so this might appeal to the people who are very lazy. Cheating on a final, either for high school or college or even SATs or ACTs and whatnot, it's hard. It's really hard. Like, it depends on the class that you have and the teacher that you have, sure. But generally, you know, the higher up you go, the more difficult it is, where maybe they want you like a hawk. It's a lot of effort with not really that much payoff, in the sense that, you know, if you have multiple choice, you know, why do you have to, like, eyeball other people's papers? When instead you could just, like, pick B every time and hope for the best. Yeah, and besides, when you're cheating on a final, it's just like it's a lot of effort when instead you could kind of do other simpler things. And I think I covered this in a different video, but instead of actually doing that, you could basically do it kind of like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where if you have something like a multiple choice question, right? Then it's not so much about getting the answer right, it's more about knowing which answers are wrong. So, to that end, if you know that, you know, A and D are absolutely wrong, then all of a sudden you went from like a complete guess to 50-50, right? Whereas if you're obsessed with trying to get the correct answer, then you still only have a 1 in 4 chance of getting it correct because you haven't figured out, you know, which one is the right answer. So it's a kind of a different skill set. Where, you know, if it's an open-ended question, then yeah, the only way you can get it right is to get it right. But if it's multiple choice, then there's things you could do like, you know, making sure that you're ruling out which is wrong, making sure that you are skipping questions that you might not know, and then coming back to them later, and making time to come back to them later. You know, timing yourself to... Oh gosh, you know what? This would be... this is a... I'm out of time. Okay. You know what? I'll save this stuff for later. This is on preparing for finals, right? This will be for today. But next time, I'll talk about on taking a final. Tips. Oh man. That's going to be fun. Okay. Process on taking a final and tips for that. And this could apply to anything, right? ACTs, SATs, whatever. Yeah, so you know what? I'll go over that next time. I'll make notes. I'll be prepared. And as a heads up, for the next week, I believe, let me check my calendar. The 28th, I am gonna be missing a stream. Just for that one day. But it's also the one day a week I'm going to be missing it, so to anyone that's watching, sorry about that. I try to keep this thing regularly scheduled, but for that week I will be away. So, until then, yeah. Hey, we'll talk more about final stuff and preparing for that. I'm excited. But until then, have a good night. And again, to anyone that's coming out, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Again, feel free to comment or say whatever anytime. Always welcome. Yeah, and again, thank you very much for coming, and I hope this helps and helps you get through with school stuff. Yeah.